Good evening, and thanks for joining tonight's TI Technology webinar hosted by Texas Instruments, where tonight we're excited to introduce to you the brand new TI-84 plus CE app for use with Chromebook notebook computers. My name is Mike Houston, and I'm the moderator for this event. I teach algebra and calculus near Pittsburgh, where I use TI technology to make tough-to-teach, tough-to-learn concepts accessible to all my students. Tonight we're really lucky to be joined by our two panelists, Margot Mankus and Tyson McKay. Margot is currently the Product Development Manager for the TI-84 Plus classroom solution at Texas Instruments. She enjoys working with TI software developers and teams of educators to bring the educator's wish list to the graphing calculator classroom. Margot is an applied mathematician and enjoys a fulfilling university teaching career. Margot, it's great to have you with us tonight. And after graduating with a bachelor's in biology from Southern Methodist University, Tyson started at TI working in the customer call center, where every conversation started with 1-800-TI cares, this is Tyson, how may I help you? The most enjoyable part of every role Tyson has had at TI has been the opportunity to talk to educators and students about how TI has helped improve the understanding of math and science concepts. In her current role, Tyson is focused on the STEM, software, and Navigator product lines. Tyson, it's great to have you with us. We're expecting a large crowd, so your audio is muted. Feel free to send any questions at any time to Margot or Tyson using the Q&A window on the right side of your screen. We'll also be using the chat window to send general messages. As a reminder, the session is being recorded, and we'll provide a link to the event certificate of attendance at the conclusion of the webinar. We hope you don't have any audio issues, but in the event that you do, try selecting Communicate from the top of the WebEx menu and choose Audio Broadcast. At this point, Tyson is going to discuss our agenda.
So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know that there are a lot of new learnings that everyone is going through right now as we're instructing students remotely. I know if my children's teachers happen to be on this webinar, hello and thank you for everything you have done. We've been remote teaching for a week and a half now with my kids, so thank you and thanks for finding time to be here. Today we're going to go over the 84 Plus CE app for Chrome, so what it is, how to go get it, and I get to tell kind of the boring part. And then Margot is going to tell the exciting part, which really is information on how to use it and give a demo of how it all works and how you could use this with your students. We'll also quickly cover a solution we have for students that have 84 plus CEs and need to connect to their Chromebook. And we're going to wrap up at the very end with a webinar drawing, so hopefully stick around all the way to the end and be able to take part of that. So that's kind of our agenda for there, and we'll be looking at the Q&A, hopefully answer your questions as we go.
Thanks so much, Tyson.
Yep.
Okay, this is Margot, and thank you for coming tonight. And this is as Tyson said, it's truly exciting. And thanks, Mike, for inviting us to share this great offering. So, as Tyson mentioned, we're going to go through a little bit of the Chromebook, the TI-84 Plus CE app for Chrome OS. And then let's go through some slides first before we switch to the Chromebook. And so Tyson is going to tell us a little bit about the offering.
So right now what we're doing, so we're offering this trial, and I'll be very clear, it's a beta version for the 84 Plus CE Chromebook app. And it's really to support the remote learning that people are having to unexpectedly go through right now. The app itself exactly emulates the 84 Plus CE calculator. So if you're already using that with your students, this is going to feel very familiar. And this is really intended for schools that have their students with Chromebooks and they need something for their students to use from a graphing perspective, because maybe your class sets are sitting in your classroom, or I've heard from lots of students whose calculator is locked in their locker at school. So this will be available. The app itself will expire August 15th. So what that means is once the software, you can launch the app, but on August 15th, the app will no longer work. And this really comes back to, this is a beta. We've been working on this, but we have not kind of fully completed it, but we wanted to get it out in this time frame. So as we get closer to that August 15th date, we'll have more information. But right now, I just want to make sure that students understand what they have on their Chromebook as they're using this. All right. Now, if you haven't already gotten the Chromebook for your students, what we have on the next slide is kind of where to go to do that. What we've found is that most Chromebooks that students have are actually managed by the school IT. And so we really need the IT for your school or district to make the app available. It's not something you can just go download on your own. So we have a form to fill out on this website, education.ti.com/distance learning. And on that form, you can fill that out and our ETCs will be able to help your IT group get the right information to deploy this out to your students. Some students may have their own and we can help them out too, but what we found is the majority has the, needs the IT group to kind of participate. And I would say overwhelmingly, it's wonderful how I've seen IT groups really support whatever's needed for students in this time frame. All right, so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Margot, and she's going to show you how this actually all works, which I think is what you're here for.
Thank you, Tyson. So we're going to go through a few slides, and Mike posts these slides after the session so that you will have all the information. But basically, what you're going to see is a view of the emulation of the TI-84 plus CE, and so this is what it's going to look like on the right. It has all the familiar math features from 5.4. So that part's fully tested, even though we do say this is beta. It's the Chrome application that is the beta version, and so you can trust that the calculator is going to work as expected. What comes loaded with the 5 preloaded images that you're familiar with on the CE, so the star and the bridge and the playground and the water fountain and the little cactus flower. But there is something that you should know about this, and that is because it's a beta version, and like Tyson said, we're still working toward. We needed to get something out to you all because of this whole remote teaching that you're going through. So there are no apps loaded. So if you press the apps key, all you see is finance. Finance is a built-in feature, and you won't see any apps. There's also no sending or receiving calculator files to and from this emulator. And so if the students need to enter a list, give them the data, they can enter it. If the, sorry, my screen went blank. So you'll have to manage that as you're planning your lessons. You probably, some of you are expert at this. You may have even done remote teaching. You may be expert on Chromebook. Some of you are kind of thrown into this really quickly, and it's like, how do I do my classroom management when it's remote? What are all the other, things I have to kind of think about? And so planning that if the kids did need an activity with a list or a program that you'd provide, give them time to enter it. When the app is first launched, it always returns the default state. So what you're seeing up here is the familiar RAM clear screen. I just close the lid, and so I end up when I end up maximizing the emulator, I still have my work there. So I tend to not close the emulator. When you do see this RAM clear screen, if you're familiar with the 84, which you probably are, you do a second quit to get to the home screen and then you move along. So that's kind of what you're getting in terms of the OS. Now, what happens once you get onto the Chromebook? We'll go there in a second, but basically what I'm going to show you and the Chromebook, if everything cooperates on WebEx tonight, the emulator window sizing, it's just like everything you've experienced on Chromebook. The emulator will snap. If you drag it to the side, it snaps to half screen, and then you can position your lesson along with the emulator. It truly is the calculator on the side of the desk. And that's usually that's sort of what the 84 is good, you know, it's a tool to grab when you need it. And so we will show you about window resizing just a little bit. One thing that we do want to call out is remember that in order to support your efforts, you may use this already, but you may not be familiar with it. We do have a lot of activities at 84 Activity Central, and we give you the link. The slide deck will be posted after the session, and I just have and this is a snip of my Chromebook, and I just have one of the pages out where you can get some marvelous lessons that are associated with, they're correlated with standards. You can look them up by your standards. You could also look them up by topic. And so we will window size and see this live. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, pressing emulator keys. This is kind of fun. If you're not familiar with Chrome OS and you're coming from Mac or PC, take time to learn about Chromebook shortcuts. And what happens is if you've got a touch screen, delightful, you'll just touch the emulator screen, no problem. Your finger will do the walking. If you are familiar, if you like using a mouse, then you'll click on the keys. Okay, some of you may be familiar with Smart View. It's just clicking on keys. It's really, there's nothing much to learn about it. But what we did find on Chromebook is, and we did have a few people pilot this beta version, we found that the mouse speed on Chromebooks could be a little challenging. And so we give you a little tip here about going in and setting your mouse device and your touchpad. And I also give you a little tip here that you'll see that when I'm on Chromebook, I chose to put the little accessibility feature with a little red circle. And so you can find that setting here on your Chromebook in the Chrome OS. And so you might like it, you might not like it, but certainly practice with that because that will also help your kids find where your mouse is when you're teaching remote. Well, I run a lot of remote meetings. I do a lot of remote training, and I will tell you that the one thing that I find is that you don't necessarily see your audience. Maybe their webcams are not on, and you don't see their faces and their reaction. And another thing, you just don't see how the transmission is. There's a lot of lag time. There's a lot of strange things that happen. I've practiced a lot where I have two monitors and I sign into whatever learning management system I'm using. I sign in on both so that as presenter, I can actually see what the outcome is on the other screen. If you have an opportunity to do that, it's a good learning experience for your teaching remote, and you'll see what the kids see. Something that kind of serendipitously happened, if you're familiar with, if you have your 84 CE at home, and you're familiar with the SmartPad app, the SmartPad app, when run on the 84 Plus CE, when it's connected with the USB computer cable, actually is a remote keypad. So you can hold the calculator and just press the keys instead of having to touch the screen or use the mouse. So there's a lot of ways to press the emulator keys. The other thing that's interesting about Chromebook, which again, many of you are expert, you get used to the finger swipes, you get used to the finger touches, you get used to the shortcuts. There are so many shortcuts on Chrome OS. And so what we will provide, and it'll be posted in a doc, I'll show you the file when I go over to the Chromebook, is I'll give you a table that looks like the keypad, and then under each of the emulator keys, we'll provide the shortcut key press from the keyboard. And some people will adopt that. Some people will just use the mouse or touch. If you're new to Chromebook, I really do invite you to go look at, do Control-Alt / division. And it displays a really, really wonderful menu that shows you the Chrome OS shortcuts. I discovered this as I started to play more with Chrome. I also watched a few videos online of just kind of getting used to your Chrome OS, and they're good, they're delightful. I would strongly suggest you take time if you're new to Chrome. When you get to what's the best thing about either your student putting together an activity or a homework kind of or a project, or you presenting, is that when you present your activities, you create your own activities, it's really great to have a screenshot. Well, the screenshot concept, some of you might be familiar with our SmartPad, Smart View software. We have a screen capture, right? But on our Chrome OS emulator, what you'll do is use the native snipping feature. And so you can take, and I'll show you how to do this. You can take a partial screenshot, and that's how I got this guy. Or you could take the full screen. This key on your Chromebook is around F1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, this is very standard to Chrome. So this would help you even if you went off on a web page and you wanted to get a snip of something. Those are great shortcuts. And now the demo. So we're going to share a story with you what happened tonight. So I'm going to go to my Chromebook, but I'm going to have to do it in a funny way. So we've been able to log into WebEx with my Chromebook. We practiced. I would spend all weekend on WebEx with my Chromebook. And lo and behold, tonight, there is some Java issue with WebEx, and I'm going to have to do some little bit magic here. So you'll get used to this when you teach remote. I'm actually using my document camera to show you my Chromebook tonight. So hopefully, and I'm going to ask Mike and Tyson if it is clear enough. Still pretty good, guys?
Yep, it's not bad. It looks like
Yeah.
you're moving it around a little bit.
Yeah, I accidentally hit it. Okay, so if you could bear with us, you're actually just saying a document camera of my Chromebook. And so what I have up there is the text extension website. You saw this picture. You can see that I've got my mouse set with the red circle. That was an accessibility feature. I also will now, drum roll please, unveil the emulator. So I come down and I click on my emulator, and lo and behold, we have the TI-84. And for anything you ever love about this calculator, you can do it, and you got it, and your kids have it, and guess what? Everything's working fine. I can go ahead and do a summation if I want to, and I'm using my mouse to press the keys, but you know that I can.
Margo?
Whoops, yep, I see it. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You gotta love it. For everybody online, how many times did you just, something went wrong in class and all of a sudden you just had to make do with what you have? And so it's about what's happening tonight. And so we thank you for your patience on this one. I see somebody chatted. Oh yes, yeah. Anyway, so basically it is the calculator. We love it, and if you bear with me, I will go ahead and you'll see my hand, and I will go ahead and touch the screen because I want you to know that yes, you can touch the screen. I actually have the graph set up, the mode set up in Graph Table. I don't know how many of you have played with that, but it's an excellent a split screen view. It's all working. There's the water fountain. If you're familiar with this activity, you put the y equals x squared, and you are asking your students to transform the parent function over into the modeling the water fountain. Okay, and so things I promised to show you was, okay, so we touched the screen. I can go ahead and, second quit again. Come on. I can second quit. And I can go back to graph. So all the touching works. I want to show you that we are providing a shortcut table. So after the session, probably tomorrow, Mike can correct me on that one. You'll have the PowerPoint we show, and then also you'll get this file, both in a doc and a PDF, and the table will help you know how to press the keys. And one thing that I want to call out is that for those of you who know Chromebook, you know about these multiple keys to do things. And so, for example, if I wanted to do a stat plot, I'm going to go back and touch for second quit. Okay. But if I wanted to get to the stat plot, look what I have to do. I have to go search 6. Now, search is a little spyglass, I guess it is. So I go search 6 and notice second appeared. Okay, and my cursor's in that second mode. All right, so I'm in a second. And now how do I get to stat plot, which is the primary key y equal? I have to go search 1. And voila, it worked. So if you're used to this, if you're a shortcut person, key person, then you will have this. I just want to focus it again. You will have this table at the ready, and you can go to town. Another thing about the 84 with the way the keypad is mapped, it's very interesting that the way back when we first started to do Smart View, the way they decided to do the keyboard mapping was kind of logical. You don't have to memorize a lot of this. So I'm sorry, I can't get the contrast better on this dock camera right now. But if you look at the math key, it's mapped to A. Why is it mapped to A? Well, if I go over here and I look at the math key, its alpha key is A. All right. So it's A, B, C, and lo and behold, that's the mapping. That is also something that will help you not have to remember things. So if I want to go to the math key, I'm going to go to the keyboard and just press A. Of course, I have to have the focus on the emulator. Always remember, focus on the emulator. And then I press A, and it's supposed to do this. Whoopsie-daisy. I know why. Okay, you all know what I just did. All right, I'm using the wrong mouse. There we go. That's the mouse I'm supposed to use. That's why it's worth having okay. I need to go second quit for a second. Okay, this is there we go. What you just saw is me getting a little bit mouse challenged because I've got 2 computers going here plus the dock camera. So again, remote, you got to kind of laugh and say, oh, look what I just did. All right, so again, the one thing I want to, the other thing I promised I would show you is this business a screen snip, all right? So again, the shortcut that we provided you, remember in the PowerPoint, we talked about the screen snips. There's a shortcut. When you play things, the screenshot, the partial screenshot is going to be Control-Shift and then this little screen key, okay? So I'm going to go back to my activity for the day, and let's say I wanted this. So I go Control-Shift, and then the screen darkens a little bit, and I have the cursor, and I come over, and I just have to grab it, okay? And it does go to a clipboard. Feels a little bit like the Inspire software that way. And then all I do is put my cursor, and I can go Control-B, and I've got my screenshot in my document. So while you're teaching, you might want to grab something while you're sharing however you're doing with if you're using Google Hangout, if you're using Zoom, whatever you're using, you may have your students present something to you. They too can just take the screen snip. Okay. So Mike, I'm going to take a breath here. Is anybody got questions?
Margaret, I think we're good. There's a couple questions about this could run on other devices other than the Chromebook. And I think we had a great answer from Tyson, who said that if you need this on our devices, the best way to go about it is to download the free trial version that we're offering at this time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, was that for smart? Was that for like PC and Mac? It would be TI SmartView.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. And okay, so the other thing we're going to show you is, remember I said at the beginning that no apps were loaded. We do have our image bars. So the good old, if I go to graph and I wanted to change that background, if I go to second draw and I go to background on, I can go ahead and spin through the images and change the background. Again, you're going for the emulator, it'll be the 5 preloaded. So I think if I keep going, yeah, it's the 5 preloaded. If you want to go to second format and do a little bit of the background, remember that's how you get the images, but you could also do a background color if you want. Oh, we don't have colors there either. Oh, yes, we do. I'm sorry. Got to get past my images. There they are. Okay. So you could, magenta is one of my favorite colors, and you can get a pink background, whatever, however you want to position this. This is, we're just kind of showing you what's available. But remember that if you go into apps, don't be surprised. Finance is there because it's a built-in OS feature, and usually you see your CE apps here, so they won't be here. And if you do have the kids enter lists, then provide them the data, think ahead. Well, I read some tweets from some teachers who are also parents dealing with having their kids at home plus they're teaching, and they sort of had a really wonderful thread there about take it a step at a time, don't do too much too fast, and I'm sure like there's a lot of experts here just to say that it's going to be different than your daily classrooms. Okay, again, any questions?
So far, I think we're okay. I'm just answering one right now.
I mentioned about sizing things, and you can snap, but if you do snap the emulator, if you do snap the emulator, you'll get gray space, but you can always come back here and size it. You can go ahead and take your activity, and maybe your activity is more important at that point. Keep that window behind, click it when you need it, come back to your activity. I'm sure that you've all experienced the necessity of staging all your documents before you teach a class so that you are able to, my tabs are exactly what I wanted. I wanted to show you this. I knew I'd have to go back to the PowerPoint a little bit. Wanted to show you Activity Central a little bit. Again, great place to get resources and information. And then I know I wanted a blank doc just to show you a snip. Any questions? Okay.
Marga,
given the magic of, yes.
So there's a couple questions around, are all the functions working on the app? Any limitations on data size? Could they use this to do some programming? Like maybe just talking around what you could do using like snippets, maybe to save your programming, work.
Right. So, okay. So TI Basics fully functional. So just as you would enter in the calculator, go ahead and name a program, and then remember that the program key kind of double dips so that you can press program, you get your control and IO commands, and you could also so remember also that we have the Alpha F5 menu where you can execute the program right from here. It also has some nice editing features just in the program editor to undo, clear, inserting lines above and below, and copy, cut, paste. this is that's really great. And then what Tyson was mentioning, I think is important to think about is that, let's say that your students did a program, and again, then depending on how you're handling how they quote unquote turn in their homework, if they do Control Shift and then that little icon that looks like the screen, they could go ahead and grab the program and then copy it to clipboard and paste it to whatever they're going to eventually put in the cloud for you, or however you're managing that. If the program scrolls off the screen, so if I'm just going to get down here. So I don't want to enter more, but let's say that you had more than the number of lines on the screen. Just have them arrow down, take another snip, and they can still submit their program that way. Same thing with lists. So our list editor can support 999 entries, and the amount of memory, all of it is just like the calculator. The only thing that's missing is that you cannot. So basically, you're all familiar with linking. So send, receive, and links not enabled, and then also the apps just are not loaded. And we are anxiously listening for your feedback on things that are missing, things that you want to do and they're not there. If there's features in SmartView that all of a sudden you thought, oh, I thought that would be here. We do really, really want feedback. And yes, I just saw the 10 minutes of code comment, and yes, you should be able to run 10 minutes of code without problems. It is the fully functional OS. So when we say, it's beta, and we say that it's the Chrome application part of it, under the hood, this comes from our exam calculator line, and so that is all the math features fully tested. No worries, nothing to worry about on that one. Tyson, did that address?
I think so, yes. Thank you.
Okay. With that, we shall come back to a presentation. Now, I'll leave the emulator up. I'll leave the dock camera up in case we need to pop back to that. But what we would like to do now is also share another bit of information. And this has been posted for quite a while, and we won't do a demo of it, but did you know that it's probably a month or two, right, Tyson, that this has been up there? The TI Connect CE app from the TI Connect CE app from Chrome OS is posted. And you can, if you have an 84 at home, like if your students had 84 CEs, and so, sometimes people have class sets, sometimes the students have their own. If they've got an 84 plus CE along with the USB cable, and if you do as well, you can use TI Connect CE app for Chrome OS, and this one is more like TI Connect, where you can send and receive files to calculators. So imagine this. You are using your learning management system. You go ahead and whether you go to Dropbox or Google Drive or whatever, you can go ahead and put your listen programs up there. The kids can get them down to their Chromebooks. They can then take it from the Chromebook to their CE to do the homework problems or activities or whatever. They can also take screenshots and send them back to you. So this interaction, if they actually have the calculator with them and you have your calculator, again, with the cables, this really does feel like, the one-to-one classroom. So we give you information. We're not going to do a demo tonight on this work because we wanted to focus on the TI-84 plus CE Chrome OS app. But here's the link. Tyson, I saw people share links in chat, so if people might be interested in that. And now, I also saw some of the little chat things come up, but we're going to now return back to the slide, and I'm going to turn it back to Tyson to speak to how you get what I showed on the Chromebook, so there's a TI-84 plus CE app for Chrome OS, the emulator. Tyson.
All right. So, yep. So I think I've been watching the chat and hopefully answering as I can. We really would love for you to be able to go to the website we have here with the form. The reason we're doing that is what we found is, unlike computer software where it's easy to give the kids a link, say download this and load it on your computer, the way Chromebooks are typically set up with districts, the district IT has to allow the app to go on that Chromebook. And different districts do it differently. And so the simplest way we've been able to get this out to districts quickly is if you fill out the form, one of our ETCs, I would say in 24 hours or less, and that less can be significant at times, they've been getting the directions to the IT folks that you can send so that they can set up their permissions so students can go get this. Even if the student owns the Chromebook, a lot of times the account they log into is actually in a school account. And in that case, again, the IT person needs to be able to say, for this account, I allow this app. So we have directions for IT folks to get to this link quickly. And we've just kind of, in the craziness, I think, of the last week, we found this is the easiest way to successfully get the Chrome app to your students quickly. So please fill out the form, and our ETCs will absolutely get back to you quickly to make sure you can get down to the students. Couple other quick things that have come up that you may not have seen on the chat. Some teachers have mentioned they have a PC or a Mac. Could they use this on their PC? This Chromebook app only works on the Chromebook. However, the same website, if you go there, you can download and get a 6-month trial license of any of our computer software, whether it's TI SmartView for the 84 plus CE or TI Inspire. The students can get it as well. So if the students have a PC at home and they'd rather use that, we can get them the SmartView software to use so that they have that on their PC. And then the last thing is anyone that has yourself or students that have an iPad, we've basically taken that application for Inspire and made that free as well for a short time frame. So kind of depending on what your students have, please get them, go to this website, and it has all the different resources they can go to so they have something at home to do the graphing. So I can't reiterate that enough. The ETCs will really help you out, and I swear they'll be quick because they know your students need this quickly, since everybody is moving quickly right now. Right.
And Tyson, for the PC and Mac people, so Tyson mentioned TI SmartView, and if you're not familiar with TI SmartView, let me go ahead and I'm going to just get my screen a little cleaner here, because TI SmartView, gee, it kind of looked like the Chromebook emulator. And this one's pretty cool because you can have it in this view and put it off to the side, just like I talked about having your activities. This one also, like when you're presenting, you can go into a large screen. There's also teacher features here, so your kids probably will use it this way, right? But if you choose to get, and as Tyson said, both students and you, 6-month trial now during this very interesting time we're in. For teaching, it also has this thing called View Cubed. And if I go ahead and put in, that's not going to be good right now because A and B are probably 0. So let me go this way. If I go ahead and graph, you can tell Margot's been playing here. I know, what do you do in class, right? You go second mem, 7. Let's go to defaults. Yes, let's go to defaults. Okay, now Margo can do something good. Okay, so let me go turn that guy back on and graph. And what's cool is this thing's pulsing. Might not be able to see it that well. And you can get multiple representations. So you can see that the cursor's in the way about X, but it's X plus 5. You can see the graph. You can see the table. If I wanted to go to the home screen now and do something with Y1 and say something like, whoopsie-daisy, excuse me, alpha, I'm getting Y1 up, and I want to do Y1 of 5. Okay, so now you've got 4 views. If you do something to equation, graph, or table, it'll tell you to refresh again. But anyway, so please, if you're PC, Mac, take advantage of this. Have your students use this as well. And thank you, Tyson, for bringing that up. And there's still some more chats, and I think Tyson will field those questions. Okay. So thank you for those questions. All right. So, Mike, do you want to take the presentation back?
I sure can. Thanks so much. So as we begin wrapping things up tonight, I know a lot of questions have been asked. If you do have any additional questions for Margo or Tyson, please try to get those asked. I know they'll do their best to get those questions answered. We're really excited that we have some T-Cube summer workshops coming to an area near you. Visit our website, education.ti.com/T3 summer workshops to learn more about what's being offered and where it's being offered. But it's really a great way this summer to either learn something new or refresh some of your skills. We also said that we're giving away to one lucky winner tonight a T-Cube summer workshop registration, and tonight's lucky winner is Kyle Russell. So Kyle, congratulations. We hope to see you as well as everyone else at a T-Cube summer workshop. And Kyle, we'll be in touch over the next couple of days over email to give you a little more information. To receive a certificate of attendance, please go ahead and click the link in the chat window. Also listed as a link for the documents that were used tonight as promised by Tyson and Margo. And if you miss those links or if they're not working for any reason for you tonight, just hang tight. You'll automatically get a follow-up email in a couple of days. And in that follow-up email will be links to the recording, the certificate, as well as the documents. And if you're watching this on demand, go ahead and copy that link into your favorite browser to receive your certificate. Please feel free to stay connected and continue the conversation on any of the major social media outlets. There were a lot of questions tonight, and I know we got to a lot of them. I'm guessing there's probably some other questions that we weren't able to answer tonight. If you do have any lingering questions, whether it be from tonight or after the fact, feel free to give us a call at 1-800-TI-CARES or send us an email at ti-cares@ti.com. We'd love to hear from you. When you leave the webinar tonight, a brief survey will automatically appear in your browser. Your feedback guides us as we plan future online events, so we really hope you share your thoughts in that post-webinar survey. Lastly, thanks so much to Margo and Tyson. And in the background, we also had Luis Rodriguez, who has had a major role in developing this app. This, as I understand it, all came together really quickly based on what was going on in the world. So thank you, everyone, Luis, Margo, Tyson, for all the work that you guys have done recently to get this out for teachers and students. So thanks so much. And most importantly, thanks so much for everyone for joining us tonight. We hope to see you back online real soon. Have a great night.